and you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind, the sports podcast for women about things that matter to us and more. So come join us on your podcast platform. What's up, everybody, and welcome to a WNBA State of Mind where we mainly discuss basketball, but we love other sports. And as usual, I got my guys, Nephew Vid and Dominique Don Dada Wilford, on the show here to chop it up about the WNBA, the NBA, what's hot, what's not, who needs to step it up, who's balling. We got in the NBA, we got Dallas, we got Boston. They up 1-0, whooping them boys. 107-89. I don't know what you're going to talk about on that. Dom, Jay Brown, my MVP, all right, was unstoppable. Porzingis is the key to me, okay? And I think that Kyrie got to have a 30 bomb tonight in order for them to get the W. Now, we're going to flip it onto the W. We got Caitlin Clark. Madness is still going on. It continues from takedowns, to breaking Crystal Robinson's single game 3-point record, not to mention the WNBA's single game record. You got Seattle, Minnesota, New York heating up as my Aces. They fall to 5th. Okay. Overall, the record is 5-3. They holding on by a string, but they've added Tiffany Hayes to the lineup, and I'm just gonna say one thing. I'm gonna say several things. All right, she needs to get buckets. All right, she needs to get and ones. She needs to finish through those and ones. All right, getting contested, you get hit. We can't be doing all of this folding up like laundry. You need to get up and make it happen. We need her to make noise. She needs to get put back. She needs to rebound. She needs to just ball out. And I need the Aces to embrace her and encourage her as much as they possibly can so that she could ball out. Let her get 16 and 7 boards, however many assists, and just ride that thing until Chelsea gets back. We don't know what that's all about. You in Vegas, so it's showtime, baby. Let's get it cracking. And then, with the Caitlin thing, they talking about she was snubbed for USA basketball, but real talk, was Arike disrespected a little more? I mean, I know there's a great committee over there, and I certainly do understand them not picking up Caitlin because of the social media. It's too negative around her, and they don't need that kind of negative content. Now, I will say the positive thing is the girl is young. She got, plenty of years in the WNBA, God willing, and then the next Olympic year is 2028. Half of those girls are not even going to be interested in playing anymore. And then now you come in, you play with Paige, yourself. Then you got Juju. She's going to be fresh out of college coming into her year. And then you can name some other people. Angel Reese, that'll be there. So it'll be their squad. So, I just want to hear what you guys are going to say back and forth, fellas. Vid, your team, they put a hurt on them 107-89. I didn't see any of the tricks that Dom said Dallas was going to pull out of the bag.
Hey, listen. I mean, first, not my team, but they my pick. I'm Lakers till I die. But, Dom, what do you have to say? I mean, I told you, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Porzingis, it's hard to overcome. I don't think Dallas have anybody, a third option that's going to even compete with what Boston has. What do you have to say to that?
Like I said, J Kidd, he got some stuff up his sleeve. That first game, Kyrie didn't do what he was supposed to do, which was control the pace. They didn't control the pace at all. The youngsters on the team, they looked like the lights was too bright. That was the first time this entire playoffs where everybody looked like they were a deer in headlights and they didn't know what the assignment was. I guarantee.
So hold up. So you admitting that I was right though, because I said the light's gonna be too bright.
Yeah.
For those inexperienced players.
Yeah. You were spot on Game one, you could tell during warm-ups, they kind of had the jitters. It was some nerves. You could just tell, that the first time they were like, okay, we wasn't supposed to be here. All playoffs, that was the rally cry. We're not supposed to be here. But they got through all of that. Now you're in the finals, and it's like, oh man, we actually here. So, lights entirely too bright. I think J Kidd got them refocused. I think they're refocused. It's gonna be a good basketball game, unlike that game one blowout.
So before we change topics, what's your what adjustment has to be made? I mean, a lot of people are talking about Kyrie has to average 30, but also we have to remember that Jalen only had 16 points. I just don't see the Mavs having anybody to step up to the role that Porzingis has played. We got a big three now, not a two, but a big three with Porzingis. And if he keeps that up, I don't even think he has to average 20, but if he averaged 16 and 10, it's going to be hard for the Mavs, no matter what they throw at them.
It is going to be hard. It's the finals. Things kind of slow down. Kyrie doesn't have to have a 30 ball. He just has to control the pace on offense. They have to actually run their offense. And regarding Porzingis, just guard him a little bit. Face guard him here and there, every other play. Give him a couple different looks. They really didn't check him in game one. How many open jump shots did he have? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I get it. I agree with both of you guys on your take. I really honestly and truly think that Boston is coming out of this. I think that they do one. I think Dallas is gonna play their hearts out, but they're gonna have to look for 2025 championship. I just don't, know how many rounds how many games they're gonna actually go. So, Vid, I'm gonna let you put your prediction out there. Dom, you put your prediction out there, and then we're gonna flip to the WNBA.
I think it's going to be a 5-game series. Boston.
I still say it's going to be a grinded out 7-game series. You got Dallas winning tonight, 91-87.
Ooh. Take your bets. I don't know, Dom. I don't know how many people are going to take the bets after the first game. You might not. But if you win, then you're going to get the bandwagon that's going to come back.
Hey, everybody give me their money if they bet. I'm not a bettor, but if you win, pass that my way.
I don't think the Mavs are going to, if they're winning any game, they're going to have to score over 100 points. That's just me. So that 91-87, I don't know. I got Boston winning tonight. Big again. I said it. Big again.
Wow. We're gonna have to see what that's up to,
Coming down.
Play out, and you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. We chopping it up about the NBA. I got nephew Vid and Dominique Don Dada Wilford over here, and we just getting it in about, the scenario and what we think is going to happen. Vid, he has Boston, and Dom has Dallas, and I really honestly and truly think that it's the year of, Jaylen Brown. He's going to get the MVP and all of that. He may not have gotten the league's overall MVP, but he's going to get the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to that. On the flip side, as we flip over to the WNBA and reminiscing on what we just spoke about, we were talking about Caitlin Clark, USA Basketball. We were talking about, the fact that, she's just been getting pummeled, by people and stuff like that. It seemed like it was an APB out on her, and all I could say is, if you hit Debbie Black like that, I'm coming for you. If you hit Jennifer Azzi like that, I'm coming for you. If you hit Dawn Staley like that, bang, I'm coming for you. You don't hit my teammate like that, period. Nothing personal. You already know I love the players, and Kennedy is one of my favorite players. But if you hit my point guard like that, I'm going to knock the lights out, okay? And I'm going to take the fine. And more than likely, my team will probably pay for it. Bottom line is this. As a teammate, you got to show that you have each other's back. And like I said on the last episode, I know a team that won 4 national championships and didn't get along together. You don't have to be bedfellows. You don't have to. The only thing you got to do is say good morning, good night, and get it in when you are in between those lines. And that's the only thing I have to say about that subject. As far as the snub, USA basketball is concerned, I really think that the committee made a great decision, because based on all of the negative social media that's out here, I just don't think that it would have been a good idea to attach that to USA basketball. So kudos to Dawn and whoever else is over there. I think Jen Rosati, I think Delisha Milton is over there as well. Kudos to them for making a heady, conscious decision to make sure that there wasn't a whole lot of animosity in the locker room, while we're trying to win a gold medal. And so, you guys have any take on that, Don?
Hey, Goody, you're absolutely correct on all those points, especially, dating back to the, Caden Clark situation. Your teammates got to be there for you. That's a locker room thing. They got to sew that up real quick. Maybe they need a players only meeting. I don't think one has happened yet. I think it's early in the season, but I think they need a players only meeting. Shout out to Simone Augustus, who's also on the committee.
I know that's what's up. Vid, what you think about it?
So I don't think she got snubbed. I mean, who are you going to take off that team to place her in it? Plus, it's Diana's basically her swan song. She's going to set a record with going to 6 Olympics, and when they win the gold, she'll have another record. So who's Clark? Who's she going to replace on that team? And going about like you all are saying about the teammates, it has to be somebody that has her back. But this is what I think about it. Those players on Indiana, most of them were the go-to players when they played in college. So they weren't the ones that had their teammates back. Their teammates had their back. So maybe they don't know how to do it. But I agree with both of you. Me being a little guard, Auntie Goody know how I was. If I'm getting pummeled and no one got my back, or we getting it on in a locker room, you know what I mean? But anyway, I agree with both of you. It has to have a meeting. We have to have a meeting, and we have to start setting an example. Anybody coming for our necks, we coming right back to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that in some teams, and then in some teams, and you can't really blame that kind of stuff on youth, because I remember a team that in Michigan, it was 5 freshman boys that came up and stole the show and won the hearts of America with their toughness, even attaching, the black shocks, the black shoes, the black uniforms, the black headbands, everything was black. It wasn't, so much to represent our blackness, but just to, represent, what fear looks like, represent what, danger looks like, represent what going hard is like, and confusion. And so that's why I love them, because they were mass confusion on defense, and that really created a lot of offense for Michigan back in the day. And so that's the kind of team we need to have in Vegas. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the types of characteristics that I'm looking for from this new addition that we have over there. We need somebody with that kind of tenacity. Since we, Chelsea's hurt. It's a gut punch, and we need somebody that's going to have that kind of fire and bring that kind of fire. But bringing it to the teams, you got Seattle, they balling. They just beat us at home the other night. The Aces I'm referring to. You got New York, they coming on Vid. I know that's your team. The Sun, they dethroned the Sun. Atlanta's playing hard. They got my I love that kid, man. I wish they had got her in Vegas, man. Ariel Pals, man. She got that toughness, boy. I promise you, she'll go through the wall for you. And the Sun is 9-1. The Liberty 10-2. The Dream 5-4. The Sky 4-6. Fever is 3-9. And the Mystics, I tell you, they haven't even won a game. They're 0-11. We're gonna come back to them. The Lynx 7-7. We got the Storm sitting on 7-3. The Lynx are 7-3, so they tied. They're like dead tied for first place. Aces sitting third place, 5-3. Mercury, trying to battle their way. Does Brittany Griner's presence change situations for the Mercury? They're 5-6. The Sparks 3-7. They kind of look out of it. But the Mystics 0-11. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. It's been going on. They've been on a landslide for the last 2 years. And I love Coach over there. I love Tebow over there. But I can tell you, it's time for him to grab his son and go, son, come on upstairs with me, upstairs to the office, and we're going to figure this out from upstairs. And they bring in somebody like a Muriel Page. They bring in somebody like a Ednisha Curry, who's been coaching on the men's side, and she's somebody who could be a hell of a coach. Bring in some other coaching staff, and let's get it cracking and bring this coaching staff, bring the team back around, because you can tell me as a player that they are not connected with the coach any longer. And so that's a problem, and I know it'll probably be the hardest thing that he has to do, but he got to call his son upstairs. You guys, give me some tape. Talk about the Liberty over there, Vid, because I know you burning.
I mean, what can we say? They're starting to jail. They're going to jail throughout, the Olympic break. They're going to come back. And I see them, going back to the finals. They're still not my favorite over the Aces, but I think they do beat the Suns, who I love. The Suns, who I love. But I still think they're one piece away from bringing it all home.
Thank God.
Totally agree with you, Goody, on all those points. Vid, there's just something about this year's Liberty team. I can't put my finger on it. Sandy is doing a great job with that group, but I think they're like one injury away from the whole season being over. Not wishing injury on anybody, but something just don't look right. I ain't put my finger on it yet.
Yeah, just for it to, looking from it, from an objective standpoint, they definitely, have to gel. I think that, John Quell still isn't really all that comfortable there, trying to pick and choose her battles and stuff like that, not really knowing, I think that they put too much focus on Stewie and on your girl Sabrina as the big two and really didn't usher her in well enough, but I can tell you they're problematic on the O boards. If you don't box them out, that's usually how they stay in games and how they win games, because they get a lot of putbacks and they get a lot of just rebounds, popping it out, and then you got Sabrina or someone else hanging around the three and they hit threes. And so I think that, over time, just like you said, Vid, maybe, they'll come back and they'll be in the finals again. But just like Dom said, they are one injury away from it all being over. The Aces got to get back on track. But talk about Seattle. Seattle right now, they seem to, have some momentum right now.
Definitely, Goody. The Storm are picking it up. The Black Mamba, she coming on. She coming on. If you look at the stat sheet, night in and night out here. That points per game is going up. That assists per game is going up. Steals per game is going up. She's playing worldly on another level. Her and Skylar are feeding off each other. You can tell the bench is into it. The coaching staff is into it. They're a team that no one really talked about. Going into the season, I think they're one of the biggest surprises. But we already knew that.
Yeah, to add to your point, last week we were just talking about them giving more responsibility to Skylar, let her do her thing. Mm-hmm. And with her and Lloyd, that's the best backcourt in the WNBA, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I look for them to be a tough matchup also. You know what I mean? Again, I still got the Aces and Liberty, but I would not be shocked if they go to the finals.
Yeah, they're playing really, really well. But I play the devil's advocate. Who is that person that comes off the bench, or who is that person that carries the team in case of an injury? Are they playing enough players over there, or are they just going 6 or 7 at this moment?
They're going 8 deep right now. They're 8 deep.
But that's an awesome thing, to get, the rest of the players, because there is such a thing as get everybody ready for the playoffs, because you can't throw them in the fire at that particular time. The pace is different, the mentality is different, the calls end up being different, the crowd is different, the players are different. So, kudos to them out there in Seattle for, what it is that they're doing over there with that organization. They look like they're coming up. I love Minnesota. They're always doing a good thing. You can never count out Cheryl. I think Courtney and Heidemann, gel. I think that they're going to also be another team that's going to be a team to be reckoned with, come the end of the season for playoff time.
Dom ain't say nothing about his dream yet, though.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Transitional period. They playing with lineups over there. I'm not sure why, but they're playing with lineups. If you look at the team in the last 4 or 5 games here, she's been playing with lineups back and forth. They're trying different combinations. They're trying to right the ship. I'm not really sure what's going on over there. I'm gonna make a couple phone calls.
Well, all seriousness, I think, with the Olympic break coming, all the teams are going to assess. I think the teams we mentioned, they're going to pick up a player or two via waive, off the waivers, and they will set, like for the Storm, having a bench player, impact bench player, as well as for the Liberty and also the Dream. They're, like you said, they're playing with their matchups, their lineups. Yeah. And I think going into the Olympic break, they'll set, have a set lineup, at least a starting lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And the free agent pool with the WNBA right now is one of the best in sports. When you look at some of the names that are not on squads, you're kind of scratching your head, wondering what some of these GMs are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a domino effect right now. And it's really during the break, who the teams that gel the most during that particular time, the ones that are hitting the 2-a-days, the ones that are, that have the least amount of players overseas also has an advantage as well. But then those players that are playing, the ones that are playing the most, those are the ones that'll come back ready to play. And just to set a record straight, you got Teresa Edwards just sitting on 6 gold medals. So Dianne Taurasi is chasing after that. So let's get that out there. You heard it here first, the WNBA State of Mind. I'm going to keep players that I played with, especially during my time period, relevant. Teresa Edwards sitting on 6 gold medals. Nobody else has ever done it. We need to talk about that more. We're going to do a show on past players and those players whose names have been buried because they have a tendency to only show half the list on WNBA.com. When they make posts, they'll show who the players that are being chased, but they'll show 10 through 15, and then you see Margot Diedick sitting up on number 1. Stop showing half. Let's keep those players relevant, so that the history can continue on to be strong, and because we're getting ready to put these jerseys out there. I'm telling you, and so we gotta keep these players relevant. But
absolutely, Goody, we gotta bring Teresa Edwards on. She just released her book, her autobiography, Black Gold.
That's what's up. Definitely gonna do stuff like that. And we're winding down. We're gonna have another segment on books. We're gonna talk about that too. Good reads. Because I'm really I'm planning on spending a lot of good time in hotels and resorts and beaches this summer. And so, next show, we're going to have Vid load us up with the top 10 books in the country and top books that he's selling and all of that stuff. So, we're going to take it out on that. And I just want to remind everybody to download, listen to, but most of all, share a WNBA State of Mind on your platform, from your platform. Sammy Sosa, peace out.